Chelsea, Upper Montclair, and this is the Morning Buzz, here. And Friday edition. I'm Gabi Lutz, your host, joined with my co-host, Terry Dickerson, my newscaster, Amanda Gaddiosi. Did I say it right?
Yes, ma'am.
Heck yeah.
Nailed it.
And our segment host, Gina Morelli. Hello. Welcome. I'm so glad you're listening. For those who are on Facebook, I hope you enjoy my sunglasses of the week. If you're not on Facebook, my apologies. You can't see my really cool sunglasses. That's okay. They're drippy, they're the vibe. They are the vibe. Baby, are you coming for the ride? Okay. But we have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the one new Supreme Court nominee. We're going to be talking about some Ukraine aid. We have like 2 interviews today. We got a lot going on, So before we get started, we do in fact have a news update. Hey, Amanda.
Hello.
Do you want to give us our news updates?
Yes, I do. All right. So my name is Amanda, and I'm going to be starting off the morning by talking about North Korea and their new massive missile that is capable of reaching Washington, D.C. This is North Korea's first ICBM, or an intercontinental ballistic missile test, since 2017. Although they have conducted a series of short and intermediate range tests in recent months, this ICBM test was considered a red line by many countries monitoring its actions. Now, with the world focused on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, North Korea has tested a weapon that would easily reach the U.S. East Coast, experts say. The new Hwasong-17 travels further than any ICBM that North Korea has tested so far, and is believed to be the world's largest mobile ICBM designed to carry multiple nuclear warheads. If the missile were launched on normal trajectory, it would reach the east coast of the United States, Japanese media reported. In response to the launch, South Korea fired its own missiles from land, sea, and air to demonstrate its capability and willingness to respond immediately and punish, their military said. In recent news, 2 firefighters were injured trying to fight off a massive inferno that broke out in the New Jersey PepsiCo bottling factory last Tuesday. The Piscataway plant ignited around 6:30 p.m. and sent gigantic flames into the night sky as heavy clouds of black smoke choked the area. Witnesses say that the fire could be seen shooting through the roof and the back of the building. Initial reports say that multiple propane tanks might have exploded, causing the flames to erupt. There were multiple employees in the building when the fire broke out, but luckily they were able to escape. People living nearby were concerned about the smoke, and if anything burning there could be toxic. The conditions forced officials to shut down streets surrounding New Brunswick Avenue. Officials are still working to determine the cause of this fire. In local news, a car was stolen in Verona, New Jersey, and police say this is not something to take lightly. Car thefts can happen in the blink of an eye. This Tuesday, around 12:40 p.m., a car was stolen outside of a local business on Bloomfield Avenue. According to the Verona Police Department, the car's owner left it unattended with the key fob inside for about 30 seconds. Police say that the victim's car was left alongside a parking meter with its blinkers flashing. Another car soon pulled up in the right lane of the road and stopped. A person got out of the passenger side of the vehicle and hopped into the driver's seat of the victim's car. Both cars pulled away from the curb and drove away from the scene, with the victim desperately running after them. The vehicle has yet to be recovered. We urge residents to lock your cars and, of course, never leave your keys in your vehicles, police say. As you can see, this can happen very quickly. The weather for today is mostly cloudy, with sunshine expected late in the day, with a high of 61 degrees. And that's all for the news.
Wow, thank you so much, Amanda.
You're welcome.
Fabulous, as always. And it is going to be nice today. I'm wearing a skirt, so it better be nice today, or else I just wasted an outfit. So no sports for today, guys. Our gal Emily is not here. We miss you, Emily. We miss you. We love you, Emily. We miss you. So no sports. But that's okay, because I'm sure we'll have it next week. And we're gonna move into our first story of today. So let's do that, right? Let's do it. So Biden pledges new Ukraine aid and warns Russia on chemical weapons. President Joe Biden and Western allies pledged new sanctions and aid on Thursday in response to Putin's assault on Ukraine. But their offers fell short of the more robust military assistance that President Volodymyr Zelensky pleaded for in a pair of live video appearances. Biden also announced the U.S. would welcome up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees, though he said many probably prefer to stay closer to home. and provide an additional $1 billion in food, medicine, water, and other supplies. The Western leaders spent Thursday crafting next steps to counter Russia's month-old invasion and huddling over how they might respond if Putin deploys a chemical, biological, or even a nuclear weapon. But with nuclear weapon comes nuclear war. So basically the same thing. So basically, we are giving help to Ukraine. Unfortunately, not as much as Zelensky wants.
Yeah,
but
I think
we
he
do have
wanted
to
some.
watch.
Yeah, we have to watch out. I think he wanted at least like a little bit of help from NATO, and like that's already tricky because once NATO gets involved, then everything starts getting a lot worse. So I think they're trying to walk the fine line. But I do appreciate Biden at least trying to do what he can, welcoming refugees as we should, and offering so much money to Ukraine because honestly, every bit counts at this point.
Exactly. And I mean, though it's not everything that Zelensky wanted, you know, like you said, there is a fine line and we're walking it hardcore because one wrong step and Russia's going to be after us too.
Exactly.
And we don't really want that right now. I mean, I'm sure, you know, Ukraine doesn't want that as well, but in a sense of saving yourself and helping others, there is that fine line and we're walking it.
Exactly, because we don't want to risk the safety of like more casualties.
Exactly.
Like not that the lives of Ukrainians and Russians aren't valuable.
Mhm.
It's just that why escalate this further? Like we have to try any other way.
And if everybody gets involved, these Ukrainian citizens are not going to have anywhere to go.
Exactly.
Because like say US gets involved and Russia comes after us next, like you wouldn't want us to accept those 100,000 Ukrainian refugees,
right?
Because we're going to be involved in the war too then at that point.
And once the US gets involved, NATO's involved. Immediately.
It's
so
like
then that's a huge chunk of the planet. Like we can't have that right now. We need to find different ways to indirectly somehow kind of directly helping them without having to cause any more warfare.
So I mean, it's a work in progress. It's crazy though how it's already been a month.
I know, and they thought it was going to be like 3 days.
So Ukraine is putting up a fight, and Russia is just they're trying their
I'm
best
sure
/
they didn't
worst,
expect it to go this long, and
no, not at all.
I think that shows the resilience of and persistence of Ukraine, and I think that's something to be commended of. Absolutely,
for sure. So they're giving Russia a run for their money. So I mean, that's all they can really ask for, right?
Absolutely.
To at least give them a run for their money.
You know who else might be giving someone a run for their money?
Who?
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Honestly, her new Supreme Court hearing just came out, and there's been clips being released, and she may have set a new standard for future nominees. So for decades, U.S. Supreme Court confirmation hearings have taken center stage in American politics, and of course, each hearing has created new norms for future Supreme Court nominees, both for better and for worse. This week, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson may have set another standard in her description of her judicial methodology. Jackson sounded like conservative former Justice Anton Scalia at times. She emphasized the importance of constitutional text as a restraint on judicial discretion. She told the Senate Judiciary Committee on Tuesday, quote, "I am focusing on original public meaning because I'm constrained to interpret the text," end quote. Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee asked Jackson, quote, "Do you believe child predators are misunderstood?" end quote. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham asked, quote, "Could you fairly judge a Catholic?" end quote. And of course, Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas, asked Jackson, quote, "Do you agree with this book that is being taught with kids that the babies are racist?" end quote. The book is called Anti-Racist Baby by Ibram X. Kendi.
This is infuriating.
This is very infuriating. I've been trying to keep up with this story for a little bit, and I think that Ketanji Brown Jackson has been treated with utter disrespect during this entire hearing. Every question that has been asked to her has nothing to do with her credibility as being a judge or her experience or qualifications of being a judge. It just seems like Republican senators in particular want to ask her hot buzz questions to either try to get her canceled, to isolate her, to point out like any gotcha questions, to be like, oh, hey, like, but that's not it, or like, you believe this. And I feel like if we use these hearings as just a gotcha game, no one's going to get anywhere. The whole
And no one's going to get any actual real information
about the judge and their qualifications. Like, the whole point of being a Supreme Court judge is that you remain completely unbiased to things. And if they want to kind of pull out her bias on certain things, I just feel like that is a complete conflict of interest, just so they can isolate her as a candidate and like make her feel worse.
And not for anything, are they ever asking other nominees these questions that they're asking her?
Honestly, I think it's kind of half and half. But I think the tone of how these questions are relayed is completely different. Like when they would ask Amy Coney Barrett about things that she believed in and things regarding abortion and things like that. And Amy Coney Barrett's known to be more conservative leaning and more conservative in like her faith and things like that. So she would just answer the questions. It was like a normal conversation, and like they didn't treat Amy Coney Barrett the way they are treating Judge Brown at this Jackson. I mean, at this moment, and I think it just goes to show their bias and like it's just giving sexism, racism towards her, and like it just doesn't feel like they think she's qualified for this job when she's actually the more qualified judge of the Supreme Court when comparing like qualifications and resumes and things. So it's just really disheartening to see her having to keep her composure and still be disrespected in front of the entire nation and the world.
Of course, because it feels more like, especially after reading some of these quotes, like it feels more as though they're attacking her rather than just asking, first of all, valid questions. I'm sorry. I didn't think that the question, do you believe child predators are misunderstood, was a valid question to ask. Obviously, I'm going to assume that she does not believe that.
Right.
I'm gonna, like,
any sane person would.
Exactly. The only time I would think that somebody would believe that child predators are misunderstood is if they are one or two are crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the nominee for the Supreme Court justice,
she definitely would have made it this far.
No, exactly.
That. So it's just, and then one of the questions that's not listed here that she was asked was something along the lines of, what is the definition of a woman? She was asked that by a senator, considering that transgender rights are a hot buzz thing right now. I think they wanted to point out hot buzz, money buzz. But I feel like they just want her to, like I keep saying, to be isolated, to point her out as like, oh, this judge is different than everybody else, but in the worst way possible. She shouldn't be on our Supreme Court. When they were not doing the same thing with Amy Coney Barrett. Why? Because the Republicans and Amy Coney Barrett tend to have aligning views.
Yes.
And again, complete conflict of interest. How could you sit there and berate a future judge like that with questions that have nothing to do with her being a judge?
Exactly. I don't quite understand, because it's one, getting nowhere, and two, it's just there's no point in it. I don't know. It's frustrating.
What do you gain?
That's it. Lara has.
I have an opinion. I just want to say that people elected into office are asking these questions. I'm sorry, aren't you supposed to be unbiased as well? Last time I checked, you are serving all people, not certain people. So that's my opinion.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I feel like in these situations, as a society, we don't hold our elected officials accountable enough. And this is a surefire example of that.
Exactly.
Cancel them.
You know what's funny is that, like, okay, also these are my views, not the views of the station, but it feels as though, like, when Amy Coney Barrett was, nominated, elected, everything, I don't remember the Democrats attacking her in this way. Like, she was kind of attacked. Sure, because people didn't want her there.
Yeah.
But they didn't ask her dumb questions.
I agree. Not to this degree.
And I feel as though that's where, I don't know. There's not a way for me to say this without sounding rude, but I feel as though that's the difference.
Not to be rude, but like, it's literally so annoying when it's the only Black woman who has been nominated onto the Supreme Court, and of course you berate her and attack her and ask her questions that have nothing to do with her position, as if she's unqualified because she is both black and a woman.
Yes, exactly.
It's I can go on about this. It's so annoying.
It's frustrating, and unfortunately this is the step that has to be taken for when a black woman is getting involved into politics like this, into a big position. And unfortunately these people are not going to stop, but
Yeah.
what are we going to do?
And to wrap this up, I just also want to include that Cory Booker said a beautiful mini speech about how important it is to have a black woman in her position and to see her and to know that she's doing work for the black community and to know that she's very representative of what the black community can be doing and how many strides that we've made over literally history. So being that this is such a historical nomination and that she is even holding residency is incredible.
I thought that quote was
Yeah.
gonna be negative. I'm very happy with
I'm
that.
sure.
Laura was like, oh, Cory Booker. But she's like, oh,
I don't
Cory
know.
Booker.
I went,
No, it was actually really good. It was very emotional in that time. Like literally,
Yeah.
like both of them were starting to get emotional in that moment.
Well,
Because
of course, and, it's very important, and this is where we need to take steps to evolve as a nation, as a society, and
we as a society.
it's we as a society. And I
Absolutely.
think that's just that time, to finally do that. Okay, so we're gonna do a woman was horrified after her date Googles her medication and calls it a turnoff.
I'm so glad you decided to read that one.
A woman was left stunned when she received a text from her date admitting he'd secretly Googled the medication he found in her bathroom. TikTok user Chloe shared a screenshot of a text from someone she'd recently been on a date with, and in that video, and it has since gone viral. Chloe started the conversation by asking how his evening was going. Then his response read, quote, "Hey, not to be rude, and this is super awkward of me, ... The other night was fun, but I Googled those tablets you left on your bathroom sink. Super invasive of me, I know. And it said they were anti-psychosis, ... You're not mentally ill, are you? Just a turn off, and I wouldn't want to go further if so," end quote. She captioned the TikTok, quote, "Not even a good morning," end quote. Instead of chatting about what he'd been getting up to that day, the man revealed that he did research on some of the medications he found in her bathroom. And when he saw that they were antipsychotics, he apparently then went on to say that if she was mentally ill, it would be a big turnoff. So basically,
this is literally like, am I in the wrong?
Literally, this dude not only saw her medication, saw that it was whatever it was, and normally you can't tell what it is just by the
Right.
name of it, and he went out of his way to Google it.
I don't understand. What was the motivation behind
Curiosity killed the cat. Let me
Right.
tell you what.
I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah. And you know what? My whole thing is, if she's taking meds for it, that means she's getting help.
Exactly.
And that means like you shouldn't have to worry about it to that extent.
Yeah, honestly. But I'm glad that it came out. Like, I guess it seems relatively early from what the story sounds like, because then she doesn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Literally good riddance, because that's gross.
Yeah.
Like,
and he could have, even if it really like scared him off a little bit, that happens, sure. But he could have easily been like, "Hey, look, it was kind of fun. I just don't think this is really gonna work out."
Exactly.
You didn't need to call it her medication.
Yeah.
She can't help that she has mental illness.
Right.
That just makes people feel bad.
Exactly. And like, though it's a roadblock, mental illness does not limit or define somebody.
Exactly.
And that is so disrespectful that he would be like, "Oh, this is a turn off."
Yeah. And
So,
and obviously if you had fun, then she wasn't bad.
Exactly. So that I just think that is so rude and just so inconsiderate and tone deaf.
Tone deaf,
honestly.
100%. And there were so many different ways he could have approached that
Absolutely.
situation. And he could have asked her. He could have been like, "Hey, I saw a medication in there, and and I don't want to be nosy. If you want to let me know, like you can let me know. I was just curious what it was for." Like, there were so many ways. Like, even that is a little bit invasive, but like
it is.
But it's still better than Googling, seeing, and then not even asking questions.
Exactly. I think like you're kind of weird for that, honestly.
Exactly. I don't know. Like,
absolutely
everybody's
not.
curious, but I feel like there could have been different ways to handle that.
So true.
I don't know. Who am I?
You're Gabi.
Who am I? What do I know? I'm Gabi, and I know nothing. I'm kidding. I know some things sometimes,
Ugh.
but not all the time. Terry, do you
I
want to pick a story?
I think I decided.
You decided?
I'm kind of over seagulls because we had a bunch of seagulls last week. Seagulls are the bane of my existence.
I put this one.
Yeah, I see that you put a seagull story in there.
I was like, no, we're not doing any more
Specifically for
seagulls.
Amanda.
Okay, you're done.
No more seagulls.
But this was kind of interesting. Quote, my dad ate dog biscuits for 20 years. He
I
mistook
saved
them
this
for
one.
off-brand digestives. That's rough,
How
buddy.
stupid do you have to
Bro. So,
funny.
one delivery driver always stopped at a corner shop for a few biscuits every time he fills his van up with petrol. After 20 years of nipping to the same shop for the same snack, he discovered his favorite, quote, off-brand digestives are actually dog biscuits. His daughter has shared her dad's unfortunate mistake on Reddit after discovering he has been accidentally gobbling down dog treats once a week for almost his entire life. She said, quote, he has been going to his shop for about 20 years to get these biscuits. He said they're his favorite and they're the only shop he can find them in. A few days after his conversation, he brought home a packet for me because he wanted to show me just how good they are, end quote. Just after glancing at the package, she said, quote, she bursted out laughing and broke the news. He claimed that he thought they were off-brand digestives or something because they're round and not, quote, bone-shaped, end quote. His daughter also added, quote, this was about a week ago now, so when he went to fill up with petrol today, he texted me saying that they just don't taste the same now that he knows that they're for dogs.
Pause.
Aw.
He kept eating them after he found out they were for dogs.
He wanted to make sure. That's, oh my gosh.
Oh.
You know that like thing where they're like, oh, the dog treats like make your coat shiny and stuff. I was like,
Yeah.
like I want to know what this effect had on his life that he had them for like 20 years. He's
why
like,
did
oh
he
my
eat them
god,
for
my
so
hair is
long?
shinier now, you know.
My hair is so shiny and silky.
I want to know more.
Wow.
I have a question for the
What?
group. So no one here, out of curiosity, has ever tried a dog treat?
So I'm assuming Amanda
No,
has.
I have. Listen.
Okay, so no. So I have not tried a dog treat. I had tried cat food when I was little.
Like the crunchy ones or the
Yes,
wet
the
food?
crunchy ones. Oh
Okay,
god, the
I was
wet
about to
food
say
makes me
wet
feel
food?
ill,
Yeah,
but
no. Can
never
I
knew.
ask you what dog treat
it was
you
good when I was a
tried?
kid.
Listen.
Is it like the little vegan strips?
No. So my brother, he had these treats for his dog, and they were like these little chocolate cookies, but they're safe for dogs. I read the ingredients, all human ingredients. So I tried
Yeah.
it. Tasted like an Oreo, and I don't regret it. I would eat them again.
Wow. Yeah,
I would eat them
sometimes they
again.
just make them
Forgot
like
about it.
they just
You know,
make them
go
with
off.
human ingredients, but like it's nothing that's toxic to the dog.
Right,
But then there
that's
are
true.
like the vegan strips, and those are I
Oh,
would
I have not
probably not
ventured
eat
there.
one.
No.
I would not do
I'm
that.
not ventured there.
I
Um,
wouldn't venture.
I
give-
did.
I give my dog those. They kind of smell a little weird.
They
They
do
do smell
smell
like
weird.
bacon, but like I feel like
Yeah.
know.
So when I was little, I would eat anything, and I did in fact eat cat food.
yummy.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
it was. I liked it then. I don't think I would like it now. The smell
You
kind of
liked
makes
it
me
then?
like. I did like it then.
Interesting.
I was a child. Like I said, I would eat anything.
I think you guys should. I think Gabby. I think you should try a dog biscuit.
I don't
You
think I
have
should.
food.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
we
so
should. We'll do
review.
it live on
on
air.
next week's episode.
Next week's episode. I don't know. Now I feel kind of weird about it, and I don't think I'd ever do it. But I mean, as a child, what did I know?
Sadly, the dog biscuit for me was like 2 months ago, so I cannot say
okay.
the
Oh,
same.
so this was
Oh,
recent.
recent.
So she's prepared for
Kenny
this.
texted me. I'm scared to see what he said. Kenny said, crunchy cat food is disgusting. He's done it before and he's not a fan.
I'm not surprised he's done it.
So I'm not surprised either. Kenny is a cat guy.
Cat guy
Anyways.
Kenny.
I can't blame you though, because I've been curious because some of those dog treats, they look like cookies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm like, whoa, they look kind of tasty. They
Dog
look better than
taste.
the human cookies.
Dog treat testing on it.
Dog treat tasting live on air or pre-recorded.
Or pre-recorded just in case one of us yaks.
Literally, that would be so
That
bad.
would be awful.
Disgusting.
next game
Although
on
not
the-
disgusting, maybe. I don't know. The cat
The
food I
game
would
on
never
the
do
dog
again
does.
though.
I wouldn't do that again.
But dog food, well, you said the treat was good and tastes like an Oreo.
Yes, it was
I
fantastic.
do like Oreo.
It was
Yeah, I do.
fantastic.
Do you remember what kind of treats they are? I don't remember the name. I think they were locally bought, which is very nice.
Ooh, local.
I personally have no idea.
Yum.
You gotta find them.
Delicious.
I'll bring them next time.
Oh, yes,
bring
please. Okay, wait. Kenny's worse than me, guys, because he ate cat food at like 16. I did it when I was like 3 or 4.
As a prank,
Yeah.
Kenneth? Or like
No,
a
I think
joke?
Kenneth just wanted to try
Like,
it.